Uh, so the primate is in fact the head of the Catholic Church, the most important person. Today, the name of the primate is Cardinal Erdő Péter. Cardinal Erdő Péter. And he spends most of his time in Budapest right now because he travels a lot to Rome. But he comes weekly, very often he comes here, and he also teaches law at the seminary, because we still have a seminary. We do train, I don't know, a priest training school, or how to call it. And he teaches law, canon law to the priests. Well, to turn back, so how comes that the fact that Esztergom is even today the center of the Catholic Church, it goes back to the origins of the town, of the whole country, because at the beginning, when Esztergom was the capital of Hungary, then it was also both the Archbishop of Esztergom, so the primate of Hungary, lived in the same town. But then in 1256 we were attacked by the Mongols, and for security reasons the king at that time decided to go to Buda to build another castle, and he left his royal palace to the archbishop. So this remained the archbishoprics even since then. You see, the kings used to live in that tower. From
that
here
one
we
there,
can see
the red.
there is
Okay.
a kind of a tower. It's we rebuilt a part of the tower because it was ruined under the war with the Turks, especially. A king, even in London, if you think about London, the place where the kings used to live is called the Tower of London. So a king had to live in a tower. He had to be very close to God because the origin of his power comes from God. You have your picture then. This is Sissi, Empress Elizabeth. Famous for her beauty and for her good relationship with the Hungarian. You can see 3 students from this school. This is St. Elizabeth School. It's a big school, one of the most important schools in Esztergom. They are dressed in sailor's uniform because there is a feast tomorrow. It's a national holiday tomorrow in Hungary. On the 23rd of October, we celebrate or we commemorate that Western countries, and many of them went to Canada at that time. Some of them, they come back because of this. So, in fact, what happened in 1956, when Hungary was the first, after the Second World War, we fell under the Soviet regime. And it was from 44, in fact, we fell under communism. And in 1956, Hungary was the first country from the Soviet bloc who raised against communism. And it was a very serious revolution. Yes, we can speak about a serious revolution. Many people lost their lives in Budapest, especially in Budapest. And now, after the event, it was not allowed to speak about it. But now it is allowed. We can celebrate it. And since tomorrow the students don't go to school, they celebrate it today. This is one of the main square of the water town, the so-called water town, here between the Castle Hill and Danube. In Budapest as well, there are some similitudes with Budapest. The area between the Castle Hill and the Danube is called water town, both in Budapest and in Esztergom. And this square is called Joseph Mindszenty. I don't know, because many people from the West heard about Joseph Mindszenty, who was the cardinal and the primate of Hungary after the Second World War, and he was imprisoned by the communists. It is also said that he met Padre Pio in his prison, who could billocate, and he visited him in his prison in Veszter. This is the primate's palace. This big building, this beautiful neo-Renaissance
That's a
building.
palace?
It is a palace. This
thought
is
it
where
was the
cardinal lives.
There's a church?
And there is a
Church.
church. Yes, this is a Jesuit. What was a Jesuit church, but now it is a Loyola Saint Ignatius church.
Saint Ignatius.
Yes, it's a Baroque church. You know, more than 70% of the Hungarian churches are built in this Baroque style, because this was fashionable after the Turkish occupation. No, we don't go in. We are going to enter that big church, which is the largest
The
church.
dome, yeah, that's the most dome. Padlizan.
He had to flee. He couldn't come back to be a cardinal and the primate of Hungary. So he tried to explain, because it was different from the outside and from the inside. You know, they made what was written in the newspaper. Probably the Western people thought that it was very good to live in communism. We had owners of the school, and they also have asylum for elderly people, for women here. All my three daughters go to this school. They can start at the kindergarten and until high school, until they are 18, 19 years old.
No, here, big one here.
They can study here. Private, a very important old books from the 15th century here. They have a big book that is 60 kilos. Noisy here. We are going to pass by the statue of 94. It was usually they wrote in Latin, and he spoke quite a lot of languages. I don't know how many languages he spoke, and he also wrote poems in Hungarian and a lot of love songs. They should cut all his feet off. And he said that without the feet, he's not a man, he preferred to die. He said, oh, I don't want to live without my 2 feet. My 2 legs. Let's see, they're my 2 legs. He didn't accept amputation of his legs. Anyway, Turks. And they spent here about 140 years. This was the Ottoman Empire. It was Suleiman the Magnificent who led this war against us, and the Turks are still very proud of having occupied as summit. This is the top of their glory. Esztergom. And we have passed by